Good morning, Nashville. Great to be back here on WLAC. My name is Karl Sterling, and you're listening to Your Health Matters Nashville. Thank you so much for all the positive feedback from last week's premiere episode. Just thrilled to be here. So, as we get into things today, just want to share that during each show, I generally have a topic that I focus on. I have one for today that we'll talk about. It has to do with the benefits and importance of maintaining muscle mass throughout the lifetime. Some people have looked at me like I have three heads when I talk about this. Well, what is that relevant to? Well, stay tuned because it is so relevant and so important. You're going to want to know this information. Another thing I'm going to start though this week, or I want you to know about, is that typically, not every week, but most weeks I'll have a book of the week and a podcast of the week. So I want to share those with you now because I'm always looking for information that is relevant and important to help all of us increase the health span within our lifespans and to live a longer, better quality of life. Well, it just so happens that this week's book of the week is entitled Good Energy. This is a book written by Dr. Casey Means, Means. All right, this book is absolutely one of a kind. Book of the year for me so far. You know, last year, the book of the year for me was Dr. Peter Attia's Outlive. And I love the book. I still refer to it often for research and information. The year before was Tony Robbins and Peter Diamandis's Life Force, another one I love. Oh, these books will stand the test of time. So far this year, and I read a lot of books every year, Good Energy by Dr. Casey Means. This is off the charts. It's a New York Times #1 bestseller, and I'm very pleased to report that later this month I'll be pre-recording with Dr. Casey Means. She's been on the biggest shows, but she's going to join me, and I'm thrilled. I'm honored. I'm grateful, and I'm blessed. Her show, when we record, is going to be airing over the span of 2 episodes, and I can't wait to share it with you. So this past week, I also want to mention, though, I did speak with Dr. Dale Bredesen. He is a New York Times #1 best-selling author of The End of Alzheimer's and a couple other books that go along after it, right, related to Alzheimer's. He is the world's premier #1 Alzheimer's researcher, not only in how to prevent it, but how to slow it down if you're diagnosed with it, how to possibly reverse it. And yes, don't let anybody tell you it's impossible because he's doing it through his protocol. All right, so that show is done. It's recorded. It'll air in the coming weeks over 2 episodes because it's a 2-hour show, 2-hour interview. In any case, back to the book of the week this week is Good Energy. Dr. Casey Means. You're not going to find all this information in one book that I know of yet because this is a one-of-a-kind book. The podcast of the week is A Whole New Level. Just Google it, A Whole New Level. Also related to Dr. Casey Means' work. So check those out, folks. And by the way, if you go to karlsterling.com, that's Karl with a K, and then when you get there, go to the book and podcast of the week tab. Well, these are right there. Okay. So that's it for book of the week, podcast of the week. Today's subject I want to get into with you. Well, benefits and importance of maintaining muscle mass throughout the lifetime. And I want to just add a word to it, sufficient muscle mass through the lifetime. We talked about this a little bit last week. Think about, whoever you are, however, whatever age you are, maybe you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 100, wherever you are now, think about how you were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, in relation to your ability to move, walk, maybe stand up out of a chair, or how's your balance? Can you make a rotation without triggering, let's say, your equilibrium to get off or tripping? Are you able to walk up and down and navigate stairs effectively? Can you step up onto a curb without assistance? All of these things are related to muscle mass. Okay, now, if you can't do any of these things, it doesn't mean that you automatically have a lack of muscle mass. Maybe there's some other problem going on. Maybe you're having some neuropathy in your feet and it's, let's say, diminished your sensory input, so you don't even know where your foot really is. You can't feel it. Maybe you have a movement disorder or a neurological condition or diagnosis that is affecting, let's say, the brain's ability to send a message out through your central peripheral nervous systems to get to the body part that you want to move so you have less control. But even if you do have these type of things, or even if you don't, okay, let's just say there's no diagnosis. Either way, with it or without it, you must maintain sufficient muscle mass to be able to move well throughout your lifetime. Muscle is a foundation of movement. All movement, no matter what you're doing, if you're rolling over in bed, you're getting out of bed, you're standing up, you're moving around, anything you do, muscle, as far as movement goes, muscle is your foundation. So we have to have it. We must maintain it. We must build it and maintain it. What tends to happen is something we touched on also last week is this is Dr. Uh can't remember his name. Well, anyways, there's a doctor I had on the show in Syracuse, Mayo Clinic, and I'll think of his name in a bit. He talks about the, let's say, the obligatory aging muscle decay that tends to start happening as we age, right? It can start in your 30s or 40s, but especially when we get into the 60s and even more so the 70s and definitely by the 80s. Well, this is something that is going to happen and we got to stay ahead of it. And the best way to do that is do some resistance training. Keep moving, build the muscle, use the muscle. Don't only do resistance. When I say resistance, what do I mean? Well, you can think of going to the gym, lifting weights, doing a leg press, leg extension, doing core exercises, doing bridges, and that's core too. When you're talking about glutes, they're really connected with the core because your glute maximus is your primary extensor for pushing forward, and your hamstrings are your secondary. Well, I could go into all nerd sciencey detail. Bottom line is, if these muscles are insufficient in their amount of strength or in the amount of muscle mass, oh, pushing forward might be harder. Staying upright might be more difficult. Moving, walking, running, turning, navigating, going upstairs, going downstairs, all these things can be compromised by a lack of strength, a lack of muscle mass. So as we get older, though, Michael Joyner, that's his name, Dr. Michael Joyner from Mayo Clinic. I actually found him on Dr. Peter Attia's podcast, by the way, which is called The Drive. Awesome, awesome podcast. Be sure to check it out. And so he calls this aging obligatory or obligatory aging muscle decay. And so it's going to happen. We can be lifting weights, we can be doing resistance training, we can be doing body weight resistance. It could be planks, push-ups, just squats with nothing. Just stand up and then just go like you're going to sit down, or maybe even sit down and get back up again. Sit to stands over and over, right? We've got to keep our muscles strong. We have to be using them because if you don't use it, you are going to lose it. These muscles tend to get, the more we don't move, or I should say, the less we do move, the more decay there will be. And we don't want that. That is going to increase our risk of falling. And when we come back from the first break here, we're going to talk about other factors that are consequences of insufficient muscle mass throughout the lifetime at any stage and at any age. So you're listening to Your Health Matters Nashville here on WLAC. Again, it's great to be here. My name's Karl Sterling. If you want to hear some episodes of previous shows, just go to karlsterling.com. That's Karl with a K. Check it out. And we'll be back after a short break. All right, friends, we're back. Before we get more into this subject of muscle mass. I want to tell you about a very special program starting up September 4th at the Lebanon Dojo in Lebanon, Tennessee. All right, if you go to the LebanonDojo.com, you can read all about it when you hit the 50 plus tab. This is a special program, and it's called Isshinryu Neuro-Motor Training. Let me tell you a little bit about it here. Okay. We know that there's a general decline in senior wellness in the United States. In fact, we have more to get into about this too regarding falls, but falls are the leading cause of injury-related deaths for people over 65. And the rate has increased by 60% in the last 10 years. There are nearly 3 million seniors per year who are treated for fall-related injuries. And sadly, 30% of seniors who visit the emergency room for fall-related injuries, they're deceased within 1 year. Now, there's other research that says half of them are deceased within 1 year, but either way, it's a lot of deaths. Okay, think about all the people who are falling. There's a lot of them. Okay, so when we continue on here with a little bit of the data, there are several reasons, let's say, why there are more falls, but lack of physical fitness, lack of muscle mass, perhaps impaired cognitive function, they could be contributing factors. And, there are other ailments related to aging that can be mitigated by the right kind of preventative activities. And that's what this program is going to be all about at the Lebanon Dojo. This starts again on September 4th. The earlier you start with preventative maintenance, diet or anything, the better off you're going to be. And if you're over 50 and you're not currently working both your body and your brain, you're going to be at a greater risk of age-related injuries and illnesses down the road. None of us want that. So you can play a role in holding off the aging-related illnesses and injuries, and that can be by just getting started with something, moving, train your brain, train your body, maybe change your diet if you need. I have a lot of stats on diet that I read this week that are scary, like 58% of the foods available in the United States. This is in restaurants, grocery stores, everything. 58% is either processed or ultra processed. Do you know that that's giving us a lot of inflammation, which is causing a lot of disease? Because most disease has a root cause called inflammation. All right. So the Isshinryu Neuromotor Training is a low impact program. You're not going to be sparring. You're not going to be fighting, but it's a program designed specifically for people over 50 to help foster improved health, movement, longevity, and well-being. The exercises have been specifically designed to utilize the best parts of ancient Okinawan traditional forms of Isshinryu, okay, with the most up-to-date research around neuromotor functioning and enhancements. Okay, this would be like training the body, doing a lot of training the brain, pardon me. You're training the body through movement. You're training the brain partially through movement because the brain benefits so much from, let's say, just moving and exercising. As a matter of fact, Dr. John Rady, best-selling author, friend of mine, Harvard Medical School professors, he says that the part of the body that benefits most from exercise is the brain. There are a lot of reasons for that, especially the neurochemicals created by elevating your heart rate and doing resistance training or body weight training, weightlifting, building muscle. Let's put it that way. All right. So when we look at neuromotor training, we're looking at nervous systems and brain being trained along with the body simultaneously. And this is going to help to enhance your movement to improve longevity and quality of life. So be sure to visit the LebanonDojo.com. Check out the program. They're going to give you pricing, you just call them up, you'll find all that stuff. But on the front end, you're going to get a slew of assessments that's going to tell you exactly where you are with your cognition, memory, and movement, balance, and things like that. You go through the program. 2 months later, you're going to reassess. Assessments also include a complete body composition. All right. So be sure to go to there, check it out, send them a note, sign up, get some data on it. They're not going to pressure you, but they're here. They're going to be there to help. It's an amazing group of people. Tony, Don, Cindy, all of them are so great. In fact, the program is designed for and delivered by seniors, and this is to promote a proactive approach to aging minds, right? Our aging minds. I'm 63. I don't remember exactly the way I used to. I don't recall everything exactly, but I work hard to maintain it and keep my reaction time quick, fast. The methods that they're going to use, well, these are proven effective for enhancing quality of life for all people, but especially in seniors. And, unlike traditional martial arts training, this is not a belt program. You're not trying to be a black belt. There's no sparring, like I said before, grappling or contact involved, unless that's what you request. Well, they do have programs for that, but this program is not designed for that. All right, so it's just going to be a great program. I hope you'll check it out. Tell your friends, check it out. You can't go wrong. You got the best Okinawan traditional form of martial arts with the most up-to-date neuromotor training concepts for brain, nervous systems to work those at the same time with the body and just make a difference in your life, your health span within your lifespan, and help you live longer and better. You spent your life investing in your family, your business, your marriage, your home, your portfolio, whatever it is. Well, now it's time to invest in yourself so you can enjoy your senior years to the fullest extent. All right. With that said, folks, we're going to get into a little data here about muscle mass. Do you know that when you have, let's just go through some data. Okay. Improved strength and mobility will happen if you have increased and sufficient muscle mass. This maintains the ability to perform daily activities independently, such as walking, getting out of a chair, lifting things, navigating stairs. It enhances balance and coordination, reducing the risk of falls and fall-related injuries. It's also going to help to stabilize and protect joints, right? Because joints are protected by sufficient muscle mass and tendon mass and strength. So this can help to reduce the risk of arthritis and joint pain. Now, here's one that a lot of people don't think of. Do you know that the largest organ in your body, well, they say the largest organ is your skin. That's what they used to say. It's not. It's muscle. You know why? Muscle is a living organ. It's actually the organ of longevity, not just because of movement, balance, coordination, and all that, but has to do with metabolism. Metabolism happens in muscles. So when you have increased muscle mass or tissue, your metabolic rate is going to go up. It's going to help you to burn more calories. It's going to help in managing your weight and reducing the risk of obesity and type 2 diabetes. It's also going to help to regulate blood sugar levels and to regulate insulin resistance issues if you have that. All right. So it's really important. I can't stress it enough. I can't possibly stress enough the importance of making sure you're doing some type of training to maintain that muscle mass and maybe build it if you need to build it. We're going to head out for a break, folks. You're listening to Your Health Matters Nashville here on WLAC, and my name is Karl Sterling. We'll be back after this short break. Okay, we're back, and we're going to get more into some muscle mass, let's say details here about the importance of muscle mass But before we do that, folks, if I didn't have sponsors, I would not be able to do the show. So I'd like to talk with you about a brain formula I've been taking for almost a year. You know, you got Prevagen, you got other stuff out there. Well, I'm not going to say anything bad about it. If it's working for you, that's great. But I'm going to tell you that what I'm about to share with you is way, way, way better than Prevagen. It's called the Dr. Lewis Daily Brain Care. All right. So you can go to karlsterling.com. That's Karl with a K. Go to the sponsors page, and then just you'll see it there, right there. You can read about it and then click on the link, click on the image, and go right to the site and order it. The Daily Brain Care is a powerful combination of 6 functional foods with full spectrum molecular weight, very concentrated, and it's the highest bioavailable polysaccharides from aloe vera and a unique rice bran blend with hundreds of essential phytonutrients, including amino acids, cofactors, vitamins, and secondary metabolics. So I get a little tongue-tied there, but I'm going to say that this has helped so much with, let's say, detoxification of insecticides, herbicides, poisons, heavy metals. And this does it without interfering with utilization of vitamins and other micronutrients. Like, it has a really unique negative electrical charge. Let's say a negative electrical charge binding capacity. It helps with sleep. It helps with energy, but not the kind of energy that's going to make you jittery. Like, you know, that stuff they used to, ephedrine. I think it might have been outlawed a long time ago, but I tried some 25 years ago and I got all jittery. No, not that. This is the highest grade, top quality stuff. It has helped people to, let's say, improve their brain health, improve their cognition, improve their memory. As a matter of fact, there are even people out there with Alzheimer's who are taking this, who are doing significantly, measurably better in their cognition and memory and in their reaction time. So be sure to go to the Dr. Lewis Daily Brain Care. Check that out on the sponsors page at karlsterling.com, Karl with a K. It's the best stuff out there. Back into the muscle mass talk. We know that if we have more muscle mass, it's going to help us to reduce falls, right? And that happens through improving balance and stability, mobility, agility. In fact, when we look at falls, we know that approximately 36 million older adults, age 65 and up, approximately 36 million older adults fall each year in the United States. Oh, man. This is a lot of people, folks. This is a huge number. 36 million. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related deaths and a major cause of non-fatal injuries among older adults. You know, I remember way back when I was a kid, I'd hear stories about like Aunt so-and-so or Uncle so-and-so or the neighbor up the road or somebody, you know, who maybe they're in their 70s, 80s, 90s. And they seem to be, you know, relatively fine. And then they fall down and they break a hip. It's the classic, oh, she fell, he broke a hip. They go to the hospital. Well, worst case scenarios, they don't get out of the hospital. They get something else like pneumonia and they die. Or they get out of the hospital, they go to rehab. It could be there weeks or months, or maybe they never go home because they're never able to live, you know, independently again. These things happen and they still happen. But with the information that is shared with us, I mean, we know now that we need to work on this. Why wouldn't you maybe do that? I'm not saying you don't do it, you know, but if you're tending to avoid it, you just think, oh, this doesn't apply to me. Well, think again. Where do you think you're going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, compared to where you were last year, or where you are now, or where you were 5 years ago? Are you moving as well as you did 5 years ago? It doesn't matter your age. If you're not, then something's going on, and you gotta kick into gear here, and you got to do something about it. Because if you don't do something, well, you're probably going to end up with some kind of problems down the road, and God only knows you might be somebody's burden. Now, whose burden do you want to be? I don't want to be a burden. Of course, I always have to say this because people get angry with me when they say, I say this, whose burden do you want to be? But think about it. Negligence can create burden in so many respects. And when I qualify, I say this. Of course, you can't control everything. I was walking down a street in New York City one time where a piano fell from the sky. A crane broke. It's 60 floors up, and a grand piano came down. Well, I had just gotten past it, but hey, what if I was back there and a piano fell on me? Or something more realistic, like you get into, God forbid, a car accident, or who knows? You slip on the ice. Well, I don't know if you get, I don't know if that happens often enough, but if you travel anywhere and you're going up to Alaska, you're going somewhere northeast in the winter and it's icy, you slip. Well, sometimes we slip and we have enough muscle mass. You can't control everything, but you can control what's within your means. And if you're able to get out there and work on things, build some muscle mass, then I suggest you do it. And don't make excuses because you don't want to be a burden down the road. All right. So we also know that 1 in 4 older adults fall each year, but fewer than half tell their doctor about it. All right. So they're indicating this like underreporting and lack of preventive measures because a doctor, if it's a good doctor, now that's a whole nother area I'm not going to get into, but medicine's different than it used to be. Insurance is different than it used to be. Everything's different than it used to be. But you're getting this information. So just take it from me. I am a movement specialist. I am an expert. It's not my ego. I'm just telling you, you got to get out there and do this stuff. And if you fall down, you better tell your doctor about it so that he or she can maybe advise you what to do. Or you can go to karlsterling.com, Karl with a K. You can send me a note and ask me. You can go to thelebnandojo.com and you can sign up for that program because I guarantee 100% you will improve your balance, your mobility, your agility. You will build more muscle. You will get stronger, and your whole brain is going to be activated so much, and you're going to have fun doing it. You're going to have fun doing it. Trust me on that one, folks. When we look at muscle mass, we also know it can help to prevent chronic disease, right? Like lowering blood pressure, improve cholesterol levels, and support overall heart health. It helps to reduce cardiovascular diseases such as heart attacks and strokes. All right. Again, your bone density is directly tied to your muscle mass. Okay. It can be tied to other things too, right? My wife had breast cancer 20 years ago. Well, she had chemotherapy, mastectomy, chemotherapy. The chemo treatments and all that stuff wreaked havoc with her bones. How many of you are out there like that? And I'm sorry you've had to go through it if you did, or maybe radiation. And, these things can really mess up your bones. So can a lot of the medications that you take these days. But I'm not a doctor. So before you increase, decrease, or stop taking anything or start taking anything, if you get, talking with your doctor about it, make sure it's okay. But side effects of medications, side effects of eating poorly, side effects of drinking too much alcohol and doing drugs. Okay, there are all kinds of things that can mess with your bone density. But one of the things will definitely accelerate loss of bone tissue as a loss of muscle mass. Then you're into osteopenia, osteoporosis. You're at a higher fracture risk and you're automatically at a higher fall risk because you don't have enough muscle to make you balance, to allow you to balance optimally. So fall risk goes up, fracture risk goes up. You fall down, boom, you break something. Well, you don't want that to happen. Okay, so we'll be back after a break here and get into the last segment, talking a little bit more about the program at the Lebanon Dojo and a little bit more about building muscle and how important it is. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, we're back for the last segment. And before we get into more about building muscle, maintaining muscle and the relevance and the importance of it, I'd like to talk about one other product that we use a lot. And by the way, I only promote products that I use. They have to be top notch. They have to be research backed. They have to be effective. Well, Play On Relief Pain Spray, this is one of them. Play On Relief Pain Spray is the best I've ever had for, let's say, taking care of that pain that's bugging me, like my left elbow arthritis pain. It gets bad sometimes. So I spray this stuff on literally within a minute or less. The cooling effect and the simultaneous warming effect of what's in this spray, which I'll tell you about, it already has diminished the pain by 80, 90%. And then I can go on throughout my afternoon, my morning, whatever, for a more extended period of time of relief. I've tried Voltaren, I've tried Blue Emu, and, they're decent. This stuff is way better. It acts more quickly and it has a longer lasting effect. All right. The ingredients are camphor, arnica, and menthol. It also has a product that's a trademark product called Duracool, which Duracool reduces cell toxicity, providing a safer alternative for your body. It enhances the delivery of this Play On pain spray, driving it deeper into your muscles and joints, and then helping to, let's say, increase the pain relief or to accelerate it, to expedite it. We've had great luck with this. I highly recommend trying it out. Go to karlsterling.com. That's Karl with a K. Go to the sponsors tab, and then you'll see Play On there. And there is a discount code. Put that in to get a percentage off. Got to try it out. Great stuff. All right. So back to the muscle stuff. Think about this. We're going through our life, and, it's like everything is okay until it's not okay anymore. Like, it's not like you just smoke a cigarette and then a pack of cigarettes and like, let's say just say you have a cigarette and then you die, or you have lung cancer after one pack, or a week of smoking, or a month, or a year, or a decade, or 2 decades, or three. But at some point, you may have some pain and some problems, some breathing and COPD and other things along the way, but at some point, something's going to happen in almost every case. Of course, there are the rare exceptions of people who live to be like 97, like my great aunt. She smoked, rolled her own cigarettes, smoked like a chimney, died of something completely unrelated, but that's few and far between. All of a sudden, after all this time, things change. You get a diagnosis. You're short of breath. You have cancer. You have a tumor. It's affected other parts of your body. It's affected your brain, whatever. Okay, well, that's the same thing with muscle, except that we're talking about a different thing here. We're talking about if you're not building it, you're not maintaining it, you're probably going to be okay. It could be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but eventually at some point, the lack of attention to maintaining muscle mass is going to get you. And one day you can't get up. One day you need help getting up out of the chair. And maybe you still navigate relatively okay, but you can't get out of the car anymore. You can't do this. You can't do that. Stairs are tough. You sell your house and buy a ranch. Well, why not exercise and keep your house? I mean, that's a personal thing, right? Do what you want to do. But I'm just saying it's not like it just happens overnight, but one day, and God forbid this happens, one day you can't lift your leg over something because you don't have enough muscle mass, or your balance is compromised because of that. And boom, you go down and you break something. And then the spiral downward accelerates and goes quickly, and your quality of life goes right down the tubes. You don't want this, folks. You do not want this to happen. So, as we look into longevity and quality of life, we know that older adults with great muscle mass are more likely to live independently and maintain a higher quality of life, also a longer health span within their lifespan, right? Muscle mass is linked to increased lifespan as it helps to mitigate age-related muscle loss, sarcopenia, and other associated health risks. Do you know that enhanced muscle mass helps to protect and make for a stronger immune system? which is crucial for fighting off infections and diseases, especially in the elderly. Who knew, folks? Knew that this could be all this, right? So if you have more muscle mass, you're more likely to recover quicker from illnesses, surgeries, and injuries. You know, I work with people all the time who are going to go in for knee replacement, hip replacement, shoulder, whatever. I can tell you the ones who do really well are the ones who build up muscle, maintain it, make sure they go into that surgery strong. In fact, I did it twice myself. Both of my hips are new in the past 4 years, but I went in strong and I was back to work in 3 weeks after one hip and 8 days after my other. Well, I wasn't supposed to go back, but I couldn't sit around. I could move too well. I build up muscle. My doctor was so happy after both surgeries. Says, "Man, I remember I just cut through all this muscle with you. That's fantastic." Those people do the best. The ones who have a hard time with the recovery and the rehab are the ones who have not done anything or very little before their joint replacement. All right. So regular strength training and the maintenance of muscle mass have been shown to reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression as well. It helps to support cognitive function, reducing risk of dementia and cognitive decline. And plus, it just feels better to have muscle. You know, usually maybe we feel like we look better. And I don't mind that. I'm not trying to impress anybody. The bottom line is maintaining muscle mass throughout the lifetime is essential for physical health, injury prevention, chronic disease management, and overall well-being, making it a critical component of healthy aging. So we're coming to the end of the hour here, friends, and it's always, just so, I get excited when I share this stuff because I see it every day in my clinic. I see what people accomplish. I see people in their 90s coming in and doing things you can't even imagine a 90-year-old doing, but I see it. And sometimes they come in and they're not doing well, and then they do the stuff and they're doing well after a few weeks or months. That's what we want. We have people who come in who don't fall anymore. They have Parkinson's. He was falling once a week 3 years ago, and now he never falls. He's lost about 70 pounds. He's doing a lot better, this one guy, right? So we see this all the time, every day, every week. And that's why I'm here, is to help you promote this. And of course, I'm promoting the Lebanon Dojo 50 plus program, okay? If you're age 50 plus, I want you to go and check it out. Go to LebanonDojo.com. That program is going to be so good for training the brain and the body together, train your multitasking skills, build muscle mass, balance, agility, mobility, stability, coordination, hand-eye coordination, rotations, building bone density too. If you're building muscle, you're probably going to build a little bit of bone density, so you're at a less risk of falling, which means you're a less risk of fracture if you did fall. It all goes together. Our bodies don't label anything. Our bones don't know that they have all these other things in them. Our muscles don't know that anything's separate. Our body doesn't know anything is separate from anything else. The body works as one whole, holistic unit, and all systems function together. When one system is even slightly compromised, all other systems are also compromised. We label things. We, humans, we label things, but the body doesn't. So we need to take care of everything. Also, be sure to visit karlsterling.com and check out the books. I have 2 books about Parkinson's and one about walking your way to longevity. All right, karlsterling.com. That's Karl with a K. I'm thrilled to be here. We'll be back next week right here on WLAC Nashville with another episode of Your Health Matters Nashville. Until then, folks, stay moving, build that muscle. Go to theLebanonDojo.com. Get signed up for that program. It's going to be epic. Have a fantastic and healthy week.